Well, 1990 was a year that I came back to the tour. I was in the trials. I did get some wild cards that year, so I started with the win, and then I won the next two. So I mean, it was basically from that point just kind of hanging on to that lead.
You had some
basically.
good boards that year too.
Yeah.
That 6-9.
Yeah, the 6-9. Yeah, I had boards from Morris Cole that were really working good, and 6-9. You wouldn't really use that now because it's just but they were just loose and all that paddling advantage. So the way I was thinking at the time, I guess it was like this is going to change everything. There's more aerial surfing and all this kind of new things. So any advantage that I had at the time with experience was what I needed to really kind of hammer away at that, and then just doing that, I was able to get those good results.
I remember that heat that you had with Kelly in Lacanau.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was a really. I mean, because Kelly was surfing really good, and you had to bring out your A game. Kelly started becoming, coming into his own, but it was. I know I was cheering for you because, and then didn't want the new school kids coming in and taking out the champ. So, but Kelly was, in '90, he was already incredible.
Yeah, it was 1990.
Yeah.
And we all knew it, and so my strategy in that heat was basically just to catch every wave.
Yeah.
Just
You did catch a lot of waves.
catch all the waves. So he had like a closeout and and that can only work for so long. Eventually they're gonna, they'll catch up. They'll catch on. They say, wait a minute. I just,
Gotta catch
I think he learned a lot too.
He did,
surf, yeah. Because you watch how he progressed. Surfing and learning from everybody to becoming the ultimate competitor.
Yeah, I remember the thing that I used to enjoy with the Australians was that competitive vibe, and exists in Hawaii as well as those kind of main places where all of the good surfers came from, were maybe Hawaii and Australia for a while seemed like, and the competitive thing was something that appealed to me, with the Australians and
yeah, the Aussies are always very competitive. I mean, Hawaii, everybody wants to be king of the rock, but in Australia, man, that's one big rock. A lot of people, a lot of really good surfers.
I was already sort of on that path for many years, kind of just to sort of, chipping away at sort of how I felt about, and I had a lot of ambition. I wasn't really 24/7 competitive in my head. When I could see that there was this possibility that I could get a world title, I kind of went, and woke up to it. But the thing which was really holding me back was small wave surfing. Tom really kind of highlighted that, and you at Cronulla. And so Tom came over and smashed us, and I was watching him and riding these little waves. I was going, how do you do those round turns, complete turns on really small waves? And I had to kind of
good at it too.
So I had to kind of train and put myself into the, because I used to sort of wait for the power, because I was back from single fin surfing. I sort of didn't go for the twin fin, and so I was always waiting for the power, and so I had to learn. And so, but that training, I did a summer of training. I didn't go to Hawaii, and I just put my efforts into surfing the worst waves I could find. Spent hours surfing it and actually training physically, and that kind of lifted my act. And that's where I started. And when I felt myself getting an advantage and then getting a world title, that was a really nice feeling, like to kind of finally, actually it's an extension of winning. I won a heat, really, but it's like Tom said, it's like but it was such a nice confirmation of all that hard work being, put in, because I was doing a lot of that time in the water, and it felt like the time
staying
was
home when the Hawaiian's going off, and
that was hard.
I remember you were talking about it. It was was like 2 months of no surf and just
Brutal.
surfing anyways.
It made Hawaii extra good. Next time I went. I was actually, I remember trying to, the next winter, just getting on the flight to go to Hawaii, and I was just like, yes, you know. I mean, I was like, Hawaii's always been a big thing for me. And abstained, and it kind of came out later down the track. Yeah, but kind of had to win a second one, because Emma had won 4 before, and I couldn't just get one. Like, it didn't make sense, and I had to kind of ward you off, because it was brutal. I come on to the second go, because you were, like leading the tour and taking the limelight. And I was just like sitting back going, do I get bitter and twisted about this? Or do I kind of knuckle down and do my own work on it? And which, thank God, I kind of didn't get bitter and twisted, turned back, and so it was nice to confirm that. Would have been nice to do what Tom did. You know, when I think back and come back in '88, missed that opportunity at Pipe that day, but that kind of, was one of those things that would kind of, lying down in the background for me, may have spurred a kind of a run at the Masters title a little bit, but it being a world champ, it's a good feeling.
Yeah. My world title was weird. I mean, because obviously you had won the year before, and that was incredible to see. After watching my childhood hero finally get a world title. After all the ups and downs that I watched you go through. Been there, done that with you. It was weird because I remember being at Burley before the event started, and I was surfing with my buddy Mark Rayner that ran the No Fear team, and I remember telling him, I just feel like I'm the best surfer right now. I didn't feel like there was a better surfer than me at that time, and it wasn't being cocky, it was just, that's what I felt. I felt like I had really good boards, I had been training, and that whole year just felt really good. Everything lined up. I felt like for once the judges kind of gave me a fair go, and I still feel good about it.
Yeah, it's a kind of a posture.
Yeah, because from the age of 16, I was just like, I always got told, you keep on this path, you're gonna win a world title, and then winning a couple of events, but never having that really good year. I think it was in '95. I led all the way up into Pipe, and I just had the worst heat ever. And I needed to lose the first round, and Kelly needed to win, and everything. And after '95, I was just like, man, I'm never gonna win. And to come back at 30 after thinking, okay, it's time to retire, hang it up and see what I can do, and somehow everything fell into place, and to win one, really good.
How about you, Ock?
Well, yeah, I mean, sanctifying, like, that's probably the biggest word I'll ever use, but that's how it felt for me. Like, just like my break, when I started, made the right choice, to be a pro surfer, and then the break I think I needed to have, and then just, the comeback and winning, it just felt, sanctifying, it felt really good, like, right. Just
we had
like
fun on your break, but
hey?
We had fun during your break. I remember going on surf trips with you, and I was like,
we did.
They're like, please go with Occhi, we gotta go do this. And I was like, man, I can't wait to get it. And we had such a good time, and you're like, I'm gonna make my comeback.
By the skin of my teeth. I was watching doing the QS and the ratings, like, this guy's got to lose, this guy's got to go good, and I sent myself crazy. Yeah, but anyway. I don't know, I could have gone on, but I probably would have burnt out because I started so early. It wasn't my choice, really, it was my choice, but it was like an early kind of exit. But if I didn't do it, I don't think I would have been able to come back. Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to get my world title. I wouldn't have been able to do a lot of things if I kept on tour. Too monotonous, too many contests, and so I had my break, and then I came back. It was a dream tour.
I don't think a lot of people understand that back in the 80s, like, we had like 28 events.
Yeah, it was
28 events.
Yeah, it was an event every week almost, and then every second week.
Yeah.
And we were sort of, there was no waiting periods, it was just
Yeah.
on, right?
Yeah.
So
I remember Al Hunt going down and with the ruler. I was like, there's no way we can serve that. 16 inches, you guys are out there.
So it was easy to be burnt out. Like,
Yeah,
literally,
nah.
it was easy to get to that point.
Yeah. Well,
And
yeah,
I would have, when I look back for myself, when I see that you had that really good gap where you kind of got a breathing space and kind of purged, whatever, and kind of come back fresh and stuff. I think when I look back, I go,
I only had like Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, Monday, Tuesday
Tuesday off.
to get to the next spot. You know what I mean?
And your
And
fins were
it's
busted
from like
out.
California to France or something. Yeah, your fins, yeah.
God, how was that?
Your fins are out, and then you're borrowing someone's board, and no one wants to lend you one, and
It's tricky, yeah.
it's tricky.
So, I think you had a bit of a breather, huh, Tom?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. No, same thing. We had a lot of contests, and then we had the option to have a couple contests off because they didn't all count towards the end of the year. So that was good. But at the same time, you had to, I think we went to Japan more than once a year.
Miss going to Japan.
Yeah, Japan was good. I liked going there. They loved it, and they really supported the tour.
I hate even losing a card game. Hell yeah. I mean, I don't think that competitiveness ever leaves. I mean, I don't know if you guys, but I don't like losing at anything. Even if I'm driving home from work with the wife, I'm racing her back to the house to get back first. So everything seems to be a contest with me.
My little 7-year-old Jonah like smokes me and all the time, and it kind of frustrates me a bit.
Yeah.
He like dances around like,
I got you, Dad.
but yeah.
It just seemed like it was so important when we were doing it. Like it just seemed like it was like the most important thing. And I think when you get older, you're like, it isn't the most important thing.
Yeah.
But you still, because it means something.
It's not important, but it's still that competitiveness. I don't think leaves. Like, I'm going to the Maldives tomorrow to surf in that event you guys surf.
Oh, cool.
And I know,
Oh,
like,
good.
I just
that's
got
going to come out.
I got
It'll
all
come
I got
out.
all my
It'll come
boards
out. Yeah.
yesterday, and I was
okay.
looking at them. And I was just like,
Oh,
I can't wait to get a hold of Taylor on this thing.
Like, I didn't expect it to come out of me last year in the Maldives. And I was going, oh my God, I come here so unprepared for what was coming out of me, because I hadn't really felt that for a long time.
Oh, you went Maldives, did
I
you?
went to Maldives, and I'm
last
going,
year.
oh man, I want to
You
have
had a
another
good crew
go.
last year.
I want another go. The Tom come back, he's like ripping. I'm going, Tom's got another. First time I saw Tom, when I first walked up in the Maldives, I saw him, and I'm going, he got the glint in his eye, because I know it.
I don't think I have anybody that I really didn't get along with. I mean, I got on tour, Occhi and Curren, two of my favorite surfers. Tom Carroll, the guy that I always heard about with, power surfing that I needed to emulate. I don't know. I didn't really have too many guys. I kind of got along pretty much with everybody. I hated surfing against Luke Egan, but he was my best friend. I always lost. I think I was like 10-0 at one point. I never even beat him. I had heats where I'd just go down and just I might as well just sit on the beach and just cheer him on because there's no way I'm going to beat him.
I always found it hard to hate anybody, but when we went up against each other, it was really hard. In the water. I mean, I'm always trying to work out, how did Tom actually get that weight for that last wave?
Yeah.
Get that one just before the hoot on. It just bugged the hell out of me.
Well,
You
remember how
Tom
fast
was
he
so
could
good
paddle
at it,
back when? He just.
Yeah.
I remember watching the OP pros and watching you get a wave and you kick out, just inside of the pier, and we time how fast you get out, and you would kick out next to someone, and somehow you'd be out the back, and that same person would be in the first pilings.
He's still paddling fast now. At J Bay the other week, he
What?
paddled so fast by me, but he took the wide route, and I was on the
Get away from the current.
and I was in there, and he just went, and I was still. I got home, and everyone, even this little 11-year-old kid came up to me. He's like, "How come you don't paddle fast?" I'm like,
Oh, really?
It's like, geez, you paddled.
Nice.
He came up and said, geez, you paddled slow against Tom Curren. And I'm like, oh, get away from me, kid. Just when we get back to that question too with surfing against people, I used to get so freaked out no matter who, I would not want to see the draw. Because if I go to bed thinking about the person I'm going to surf against the next day, I think about them too much, and then I think that I've given them too much energy, and then sure enough, they beat you the next day. So I don't, until I'm paddling out there, and then I'm like, whoa, then you know who you got.
I'm with you. I couldn't be, someone who calculated it from the day before exactly how I was going to compete against this competitor.
Yeah.
I
always looked at the draw. I always wanted to see who was where, and
Well, actually, one of the last times I think at the U.S. Open, it used to be the OP Pro. Somebody brought me room service at the hotel at 2 a.m, and I thought for sure it was Barton Lynch doing it. So, but I was, I didn't know what was going on, and it was like, so I was just wrecked. I was thinking about Barton Lynch from that moment until we surfed, and just years later I asked him. Well, yeah, he won the heat. Yeah. He won. I was just, but years later I asked him. I said, remember back then? He said, "What? Are you kidding? No way! I didn't do that." So.
What room service? What kind of food was it?
No, it was like something like I don't know, dinner at 2 a.m. or something like. And it was
just throw you out.
I'm like, I don't know. I wonder.
I'm
not eating that.
I wouldn't have put it past all those guys back in the day to do that.
But that's the whole thing. You get to think about, and then it goes completely irrational. Then you're thinking somebody would actually do that. It's not a bad idea, though.
It's a good idea.
My best contest memory, I guess, would be the winning that heat. In that one contest, actually, I surfed against both of you guys in the Bells event. That was big. That was like real big for me. But another one that I also remember was way back in my amateur days, and I was 14, and that was like I was on a really good board, new board. Did well in the event, and that was a big memory for me as well.
I think winning my first pro junior event at Narrabeen, and that was 1977. I was like 15, and I just seemed to kind of click in with the waves. Like thinking, I'm hearing Tom talk about that young experience when the waves were good, and I started just sort of moulding into the wave better each heat, and coming out on top and winning that event that day was just an extraordinary experience, because all the best juniors at the time came together. It's the first time that happened, and we're all like eyeing each other off, and it was a big final, and back then that's what it was. And then that was to come out on top of that day, I was just beside myself.
I'm sticking with my same thing, beating you in the 1986 Gotcha Pro. To me, that I mean, I was 16. I was straight up punk.
Yeah.
But I just got kicked off to the Hawaii team for the World Challenge in New Key. So typical me, I was like, fine, kick me off the team. I'm gonna turn pro anyway, right? So, to make the trials, and then to get you in that first round, I was just like, Tom Carroll. I'm like, two-time world champ. Yeah, I'm gonna take him down. It was a sandy beach, and that was and to have somebody of your caliber, in my first event, and was huge for me, and trying to talk myself up, like I can beat Tom Carroll, I can beat Tom Carroll, I can beat Tom Carroll, even though in the back of my mind I was like, you're kidding yourself. But to get you in the heat and beat you in the heat, that gave me the confidence to bring me to where I am today, I
keep on trying to remember or remembering like when I won my world title, it had been such a freaking radical life, and then when that happened, but it probably wasn't. That day in Brazil, I was like waiting for other people to lose really to win my world title. Like I made my heat, it was nothing exciting, but then it was like Mick Campbell and Lowy and Danny Wills and stuff, I think. But probably just winning Pipeline, I reckon, was my best experience. 24 guys, and then And then in the 6-man final too, it was like Rabbit and Marvin and Max Medeiros, and
It was huge
and
too.
it was huge. And those guys all paddled out to third reef, and I was too scared. I didn't want to go out there. They were having
in that final.
You were in the final,
Yeah.
right. And Tom was in it too. And so all you guys paddled out, like to get the inside, and you were like almost past second reef, and a huge set came through. And I stayed to the side, and they're like everyone got cleaned right out of there.
Yeah.
So I got a couple of waves before everyone got back out, and kind of got lucky. But it was just
pretty solid pipe,
It
though,
was
wasn't
solid, yeah. And I was scared, and then like right at the end, I caught my last wave, and I beached it, and the hooter like went when I stepped off on the beach, and I went, wow, that's great. I made it. I survived. Like when I was, putting on a lot of weight and not surfing, I would still maybe like surf once a week, but just surfing brought me out of it, just the pure joy of surfing, really. What about you, Tom?
Yeah. If I didn't have surfing, I don't know what I'd be doing. Surfing was like just the ocean, being in the water, being in the waves, and just I didn't stop surfing throughout my ups and downs. I kind of stayed in the water no matter what, and I knew that was a kind of like a place where I could get myself back. It's like a place where I'd go home to almost. So it saved my ass, really. It kind of saved my ass from myself, and it's like still does today. It still
You never
does.
stopped for a little while or a month? Or...
No, I never really did that. My surfing became thin. Guess because my whole mind became scattered, and by the use of the kind of stuff that I liked using was like completely kind of dislocated me. But once I knew that just grabbing my board and waxing up, no matter how I was feeling, getting myself to the water's edge, paddling out, I'd get a gauge on how I was, really.
Yeah.
And then I'd get to go, okay, well, whoa, and I'd really want to get back to how I was before, but I'd be struggling against that thing inside of me. And I think that part of the healing that comes through from reconnecting with people on land and then coming back, and the reconnection in the ocean becomes greater and stronger and strengthens as I got more healing. And the ocean is so beautiful
You
doing
just
that.
hit the nail on the head so well there,
Yeah.
because that's so true. You go to the, if you've had like a few big nights or something, you
Yeah.
go in the water and you're just like, oh, whoa,
Yeah.
I should not be out here. You know what I mean?
Well, one of the first...
Even though you're out there
Yeah.
and it's good, but you're like, the ocean is just such the common denominator. It's just like...
This brings you back to
It's
your
like-
senses. It does for us daily, right? If
Yeah,
we're
it
going
does.
out the ocean, and especially again in the morning, I think that's the cool thing with anyone who lives by the ocean is lucky enough to do that, or by the water. We can just get that little bit of kind of waking up to our senses.
I still do it now. If the surf's not good enough, I won't surf, and it's so stupid because lately it's been flat for ages on the Gold Coast, and every time I just make myself get out there, and you come in, and you're like, wow, that was good. Yeah.
There's a lot on the line for these kids, There's everyone's the driving force behind each young competitor. Has got got the parents, you got the full support system behind that. It's just so much more behind each competitor today than what there was back in the 80s. It was kind of like we were kind of dragging our boards around, and there was fins attached to the board, and they get snapped off and turn up to contests, and you're on your own. Turning up in Hawaii, when I was 16, with the Narrabeen boys, and basically kind of getting left at Haleiwa because I just didn't get out of the supermarket quick enough, and having to get the bus or hitch back to Kuilima. At 16, that just wouldn't happen today. It's just a really different time now. There's a lot of support, which is awesome.
Everybody has
radical.
their own entourage.
Yeah.
And how radical is it now? Like, your local beach, like you see guys doing air reverses, you don't even
Yeah.
know their name.
Yeah.
But it used to be like, you know, one guy could do them, like it would be a Josh Kerr or something, and now it's like everyone at your local beach, and I still can't do them. Not that I try, but
No way. It's not a part of. It's not a part of
no,
my
you
body.
just can't spin, do you?
The surfing is incredible nowadays, but on that same token, back when you could go to a local beach break and you knew every person in the lineup, as where now you could show up an event and you can't really tell who's who because they all look the same. They're all doing the same maneuvers.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I don't think that it's gotten better. I think it's gotten worse because everyone all goes down the line and they do one huge air, and that some of them look really good, and some of them look really weak. But a lot of them look really weak, and they all look kind of the same.
Yeah.
I think
For
also
sure.
the thing that maybe was different as well. There were a lot of different boards. Kind of your boards were different. I remember your boards had a lot less rocker and tail, and you had your fins pretty far back.
Yeah.
So those kind of boards I couldn't really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
think about surfing. And then, as well, Mark, your boards had a bit flatter,
They were.
especially around that period of like '84,
Yeah.
I think. So those different kind of style of boards, I think, and you see a lot of the same maneuvers now because it's kind of the same board, maybe.
You always had interesting boards. I remember you showing up in Hossegor with that half. I don't know. It looked like you took like a longboard that gets broken in half, and then you made it into a swallowtail and put two fins on it, and went out and beat Hoyo. Remember that?
Yeah.
We were all sitting there, poor Hoyo. Hoyo had a shocker, and you went out with this board that you just kind of made.
No, that was a board that was it was
like-
tested. It was proven.
Proven. It was going to go. Anyway,
Well, you surfed it good. I mean, obviously you beat Matt Hoy, so.
Well, the thing about now, competitive surfing, it hasn't changed. Is that you have to get the the good waves. So if you're on the good waves, that's another big chunk of what you need to do, and that's a good thing, maybe.
Yeah.
That's the same,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
maybe not. Maybe it's too restrictive of the new kind of
criteria.
the
I mean, like Tom said, I mean,
technical side.
the top guys are incredible. Watching guys like Jordy and
Jordy.
Dane Reynolds. Even though he's not on tour, the things that they can do are just so incredible. As far as airs and still power surf. And Kelly, I mean, what can we say about Kelly? He's 42 years old and he's still doing the best of both worlds. So,
Yeah, he's been able to sort of lead this whole generation into that. I mean, that richness that his feeling for the heritage of a sport.
Yeah.
He's sort of really observed. Kelly's observed the turn. He's observed the wave and observed his own style and great surfers. As a result of that, he's and he's all the other stuff that he brings.
that
He's
competitiveness is just second to none.
So it's cool that
He
it's
kind of invented it, right? But he hasn't got passed up, really. You think he would have. But
yeah. So we're kind of blessed in a big way, I think, for his presence.
Good for
in that way.
surfing, good for the kids that get to watch and learn from him. Right.
It's quite an amazing thing about surfing where you're not really surfing against the guy. So
the conditions.
and it's always so it doesn't matter anyway. I mean, that's the one kind of almost deceiving thing about man-on-man surfing is that we're not really surfing against the person. We're actually riding a wave. We're performing on a wave. That's the dance floor, if you like, or the canvas.
But unless you got like someone like a Chopa, if you drew Andy or Kelly or someone, you want to,
surfing
Chopa,
music.
you want to get like a Victor Rebus or something, you know what I mean?
I reckon it'd be great if you could actually surf against a bunch at once.
Yeah.
Like if you had like a system where you kind of could surf against like, and each wave kind of counted, or and then you could all surf. Like it'd be like 8 guys, and one guy goes out, catches a wave, just performs that wave, comes straight in, the next guy goes out, rides a wave, catches a wave. So the focus is specifically on that rider and that score, and therefore you get a group of the best surfers in the world. The top guys gets weeded down to that, and they kind of actually individually go and actually surf their best. The pressure's on them at that point, not necessarily against the other guy, because that's a bit deceiving for me.
Oh, she whiz. Andy Irons has got to come to the forefront right there. Like
I was going to say the same thing,
well,
man.
so I stole it from you. That's why I went first. But far out, Andy so many times just blew my absolute mind. Like that contest that Bruce won at Waimea, and you would have been in that. And then far out when it was his first heat, and it was like a 30-foot set, and everyone was scrambling. And then we were right on the point, you know, where that guy's house is, like so close. You know, I think I was sitting next to Lindy too. And then Andy swung, and everyone's like, no, and he swung. Don't do it. Don't do it. And he went. I mean, he got smoked too, but and at Chopu too.
Him and Bruce at Chopo just yelling at each other, you won't go. And they're just like, no, don't go. I'm going.
Yeah, just point that thing down.
Yeah.
Huh? Don't care.
One Billabong had that one wave.
The bottom turn. And his board's flexing that drop.
I was paddling up the face when Bruce was telling him that he wouldn't go, and he swung, and I was just like, he's going to die.
Yeah. And it was a raddest drop, and then that bottom turn, his board's like flexing. It's like all flexed out just through pressure.
I was going to say, I wouldn't have won my world title without those two. You know, I lived in Kauai for 4 years, and those two were my sparring partners, and no one videos on Kauai. No one's allowed the videos, so no one ever gets to see the stuff that those guys do. And every day in a free surf, you know, Bruce and Andy just pushing each other. And I was just lucky enough to be kind of part of that, kind of fine-tuning my own surfing. But man, the stuff that I used to watch them do was just baffling.
I think some of the best surfing I've seen was Uoc at J Bay in '84 on the backside. I was like just flabbergasted.
What was it? The
Country feeling?
Country feeling with Hans in the final.
Hans, I had Hans in the final.
Yeah, but it was before
we had that wave.
We had that wave together that night. It was
Yeah.
amazing that wave.
That wave
I'll never
was
forget that
amazing.
wave. Yeah.
Gave us all
We're
the
like
room
looking
to do crossovers, and we had like 5 snaps or something consecutively.
I was just missing off because he'd come at the face, and he was just missing. We were just missing each other.
With who?
Me and Tom
Oh,
crossovers.
Doing game,
Wow.
boom. And then I was just
Yeah.
watching Ock coming down, and there's Ock Sean going, where's he gonna go now? It's just back down.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go as hard as I could because
Yeah.
Ock was just on fire, you know. And I was going, man, this guy's surfing so good and so natural. And you're traversing sections like it seemed like your board just popped over along the back of the wave, and it's like the rail was so clean on that board, it didn't get caught up at all, and you just get bounced back out and then down into the bottom turn, and you back onto the back of the lip.
That was a rusty, and that was my magic board. I think I won that OP on that board. I surfed it all year.
Yeah.
It was just went from
Extraordinary.
1 foot to 8 foot.
I just homed in on that.
Perfect.
I remember homing in on that board. Just
Did you?
going, I got to do something. I
Magic
got to
board.
do something. Yeah, it made me
It was
wake
a
up.
magic board.
And another beautiful is Tom. Watching, there's a video you surfing in Search. You're surfing that J Bay, that one wave.
Remember what year? I think it was like 86, 87. I went surfing with you at Rincon, and I remember Al yelling at me the whole time because I just sat on the beach and watched. Like you're riding the one with the black rail. Well, you had, I think we walked down with like 8 boards that day for you to try, and I just sat on the log next to Al, watch you surf, just at Rincon.
Better just watch.
Incredibly, just incredible surfing. You know?
That stuff stimulated me. Watching you guys surf, big time. And,
It was at
made
the
me look
88
at
final
everything.
with you and Bainey at Margaret's.
Oh, Margaret's,
some of the best surfing.
Yeah, that was
that I remember anybody doing. And those hacks that you were doing on 10-foot waves, they were just
Yeah, it's asking for it. Those
I think that pipeline contest with,
Yeah.
with the year that you had the Rawson,
Yeah,
well,
that's-
you did this under
snap.
the lip snap. That
Yeah.
that day there was a lot of your waves on that day.
you get
And
that
was that
wave
that
off,
one
of
late-
off Derek.
Up Derek, was that same year?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
2
That was
days.
classic.
2 days.
Yeah,
That was
some of
good.
the best.
That was good. That board was awesome. That board just fit perfect apart. Too bad it just imploded 5 minutes before the heat. Just had enough. Just went.